welcome back to They Did What? Your source for the internet's craziest, most entertaining stories, where I go over them, analyze them, and most certainly make fun of them. Today I'm going to do a story titled, The Worst Thing My Wife Could Have Ever Done to Me. And a shout out to Isaac for sending this story. And guys, this story, let me tell you, is one of the crazier ones I've done in a while. It's not as crazy as the horse story, the horse video I did 2 weeks ago, which I'm sure most of you have seen. Is like 130,000 views, pretty darn popular. And if you haven't seen it, look it up. This is all about a guy, without trying to give anything away, because I'm trying to be very careful here. He's 26, and he's now divorcing his wife for a very, very good reason. And again, without giving too much away, because it's really up there in the crazy department, as a perfect example, guys, why you should never blindly trust anybody. You have to always, if you're going to be in a relationship, yes, there has to be trust, but you got to verify. You got to keep your eyes open for red flags. If anything seems suspicious, investigate. Otherwise, Now, obviously, this story is not like the horse story, and I know those of you who discover this now are going to wonder what the horse story is. I'll post a link. But the point is, without giving too much away, good Lord, this girl has got issues. And if you have any sign or sense that your girl has got mental issues, things with family, stuff like that, be aware of that. It's a problem. So I don't know what I'm going to choose for the title yet. I'll make sure it's vague and let you guys discover in real time. And by the way, I'll be very curious to see if you guys figure out ahead of time, before the big revelation at the end of the story, what's going on, if you figure it out. I was tipped off by the dude that sent it to me, so, I knew what was going on. So, it starts off, says here, there's a lot to explain, but a quick backstory here. My wife and I have been together since high school. Her dad was never in her life, but she had a very supportive mom. After high school, we went to different colleges, and while I was away at college, my wife had reconnected with her father. Oh, how nice. Gotta fix what's missing. She was excited to find out more about him since he wasn't around while she was growing up, and I was excited for her to be able to get to know him. Oh, by the way, smack for doing a long-distance relationship. Not a good idea. Just before I finished school, her father took a job several states away, and she hasn't been able to see him since. They've kept in touch through email and sporadic phone calls to keep each other updated on their lives, but I've never met or spoken to him. Well, that's kind of strange. If they've reconnected after all this time and you're important to her, why the heck haven't you met the guy or anything? You think he'd actually want to know who his little girl's guy is, but okay. Well, after I finished my degree, we moved in together and tied the knot. Smack! Way too soon. We had a beautiful wedding surrounded by friends and family, but her father wasn't involved or wasn't invited because my wife hadn't told her mother that she could reconnect with her father. Hang on here. Even the worst stories I've ever heard, where the girl is falling out with daddy, tries to reconnect, at least have dad walk her down the aisle. So they've reconnected. Why the heck isn't she having him, even in spite of what mom thinks? Okay. Well, I felt that it was wrong to keep it a secret, but I didn't say anything because that was her truth to tell, and it was my place. It wasn't my place to say anything. Well, we've been married for 2 years now, and a month ago I couldn't imagine a life without her. Smack! That's not a good place to be, dude. Now, I'm not sure if I can ever look at my wife again. End of the backstory. Well, a couple months ago, my wife announced that her dad was coming for a visit and possibly moving to be closer to her. Okay, it's about time he meets his father-in-law. She was ecstatic, and her smile has always been the highlight of my day, so we were both very happy to hear the news. We talked about the possibility of having him moving in with us short-term until he could find a place of his own. We talked about it, or she talked about that? You can't have some guy you don't even know come moving in with you. You're a young couple. No. He can find his own place. He's a grown-ass man. And to give her credit in the situation, she seemed as if she was more concerned with how I felt, and she wanted to make sure I'd be okay with that. Well, she obviously knew you'd go along with it. I told her that would be fine with me, and I absolutely supported her reconnecting with her dad, but I also said it would be hard to know for sure because I'd never met him before and don't know much about him. Okay, very sensible. This was all preemptive conversation to see how we both felt about the situation, and her dad moving closer to us wasn't a certainty yet, but it felt like we were both on the same page. Well, last month, her dad got into town and we took him out to dinner at a local Italian restaurant. Once we got to the restaurant, she suddenly became distant and I immediately felt like something was off. Trust your gut. When she saw her dad, she immediately ran up, jumped into his arms, except when she did, she wrapped her legs around him midair and he proceeded to walk inside holding her like a child. Okay. I mean, picture this guy. For you fathers out there that had little girls, he jumped when she actually liked you when she was little, jumped in your arms, wrapped daddy, that type of shit. Well, it's one thing if the chick's 24 years old. But hey, maybe she's got some issues. Uh-huh. This was completely out of character for her, and I had no idea how to even react to my 25-year-old wife being carried into a restaurant like a 6-year-old child. After that moment, I felt like the third wheel for the entire evening. She never introduced me to him, which I thought was odd. When I introduced myself, I didn't even think he even looked at me. Every time I tried to join the conversation, it's like I wasn't even there. And my wife, who doesn't normally drink, was suddenly having several glasses of wine. Again, you'd think Daddy'd want to know who her husband is. You'd think she'd be happy to introduce, but all of a sudden this guy's just sitting there, third wheel, that type of thing. I was trying my best not to overreact because this was her dad that she didn't get to know growing up, and she has been able to see him in a couple years. But it didn't feel like we were at a family dinner. It felt like I was watching my wife while she was on a date with an older man. Well, it sure kind of sounds suspicious. They were whispering to each other, holding hands, telling stories, and laughing. No. This is unacceptable. And this is fucked up. The entire night felt inappropriate, and maybe I was misreading the entire situation, but I just couldn't wait to leave. I figured we would talk about everything when we got home, but while walking to the car, my wife yelled out, "Just follow us." To my surprise, and without conversation, she had apparently decided that her dad would be staying at our house after all. When I said we hadn't talked about him staying there, she blew up and yelled that we definitely talked about it and agreed that he should. I think it's high time this guy starts laying down the law with his freaking wacko-ass wife here, because something seriously is not right, as I'm sure you guys are starting to get the feeling here. I was shocked because she never yelled at me before. Yeah, well, it should be her last fucking time. I tried to remind her that I also said that it would be hard to know for sure if I was comfortable with him staying with us, because I never met him before and don't know much about him. To that she responded, "Now you met him, so it's fine." I'd be like, "Bitch, here's how this is going to go. You're going to get the fuck away from him and come back home, and we're having a serious talk." And oh yeah, my lawyer's on speed dial, because this is fucked up. Well, we didn't talk the rest of the way home, and as soon as we got there, it was just a continuation of our night at the restaurant, except somehow worse. I'd love to hear how this can get worse. They decided to continue drinking and open another bottle of wine. Her father was now being slightly flirtatious and kind of handsy, which made me very nauseous. I think this guy obviously is a nice guy on multiple fronts, but he's also just so shocked and blindsided by all this craziness. At this point, it felt like an episode of Black Mirror, and I had enough. I decided I was leaving and would stay at a hotel. Without saying a word, I packed a bag. When I walked through the living room towards the door, my wife freaked out asking where I was going and why. Maybe the guy should leave. Maybe her father should leave. Well, that was when everything that had bottled up from the entire evening came spiraling out. I told her how I felt, they'd been inappropriate all night, how overwhelmingly uncomfortable I'd been, and how for the first time since we met, I don't recognize her. She started telling me that I was being ridiculous, and that I was overreacting. Of course, it's always the guy's fault. She said that I needed to loosen up. While yelling back and forth, I told her that I wasn't interested in being around her or her father if that's how they insisted on acting. After several minutes of us yelling back and forth, her dad blurted out, "Just tell him." Oh, just tell me what, Daddy-o? Can't wait to hear this. Both of us stared at each other, and I was stunned by what that could have meant. That's when she began confessing to me that this man was not her real dad. Well, there you go. That explains a lot of things. And also it explains why it's time to divorce the bitch. Now, I'd like to know how many of you guys thought this was the case. I was shocked and speechless and somewhat relieved and extremely confused. My heart was in my throat and a cold sweat engulfed me. She continued telling me that while I was away at college, she had met Dawn, fake name of course, at a party, and they were seeing each other on and off. And while cheating on me, she had developed a kink for role play and would pretend that Dawn was her father when they slept together. So, in the beginning, I was going to say be careful with girls with daddy issues on multiple fronts, but that would have given this away. Yeah, fucking daddy issues. So, a lot of older guys love the girls with daddy issues because, us older guys can benefit from that. But putting that shit aside, if you're a young guy and your girl's got daddy issues, like her dad abandoned her, be careful. Because here's the deal. Not only is she going to be driven towards very much older men and want to sleep with them, but also she can be the type that punishes men that are good to her. I knew a girl like this back in Massachusetts whose dad ran out on her and the family when she was young, and this girl could never, ever stay too long with any guy and even if they were good to her, because the daddy issues, and essentially expected them to disappoint her and leave her, so she would shit on any guy to treat her well, and then would be with guys that were scumbags and obviously be attracted to older men. Right here, no freaking joke. And this guy here has been so good to her, and she's punishing him because she thinks on some level he deserves it. It's crazy. Anyhow, she told me that Dawn did take a job in another state and that she had kept in touch with him, all this time telling me that he was her father. When he told her that he was moving back, she had hoped that he'd be able to move in with us permanently. What a freaking bitch. This guy's done nothing, but again, like this gal I'm acquainted with, I'm not anymore, back in the day. Yeah, she's punishing good men for what her dad did to her. Well, suddenly a lot of things started making sense to me, things I hadn't questioned. The reason he wasn't at her wedding, the reason she never told her mother, the reason I hadn't met him or talked to him until now. I took the man that slept with my wife to dinner and then paid for it. You need to kick this motherfucker out of your house. That's what you need to do. And kick her out, I might add. They can go have fun together in the hotel. I didn't say anything to her. I just walked out. I threw up in the yard and left. I've been staying at a hotel for a month now, just trying to process the entire situation. A month? Smack! How much is that costing you? Get them the fuck out of there. Are you kidding me, dude? It is time to divorce her yesterday. I get this is messed up, but seriously, bro. I haven't told my family anything. Smack! You better tell them, better control the narrative. I haven't talked to coworkers. I just feel like I'm in survival mode. She tried calling several times, and she's left voicemails to come home to them, and we can work things out together. No, you evil cunt. We're not going to work things out together. I've always tried to be rational and logical, but I have no idea what to do. Do I get divorced? Well, obviously, I will get divorced. But how do I explain this to my friends and family? Would it be easier to just change my name and disappear? Do I leave the country? If I do start over, how could I ever trust anybody again when I spent a third of my life getting to know someone and it turns out I never knew her at all? Well, there you go, guys. This poor SOB. My God. Well, yes, he needs to tell his friends and family so they can be aware of what's going on. He didn't do anything wrong. He was good to her, but he was just way too trusting. I sound like Tarkin from Star Wars. But anyhow, get a lawyer. Find out your options and get rid of her. He hasn't been married that long, okay? And move on. End of freaking. Don't change your name. Don't change where you live because of her. Is it embarrassing? Yeah, on multiple fronts. But she's twisted and effed up. Get rid of her. This is a crazy one up there. And he thought all along this was her dad. And the thing is, she's been doing this to him for years. That goes to show you what kind of soul she has. Nothing. Her soul is black and dark and smoldering. She's an awful woman. But guys, it can happen. So this is why you pay attention to your gut. You always, in this situation when he heard about the dad, I want to meet him. And all these clues and red flags about not being at the wedding and all these other things. No. Was he naive? Yes. But his life doesn't have to be over because of this. And can he trust anybody again? I sure as hell wouldn't blindly trust anybody after this. But then again, you never should. Now, we're not done. comment section has, as you can imagine, lots of comments. Because, duh, it would have comments. But the point is, people are saying things, and he's responding, so I'm going to continue on, and you'll see things he has to say here. But I told you this was effed up. One guy says here, this must be fake. Well, I'm sure a lot of you guys have probably thought this is fake. Fair enough. But, you know what? There's a lot of effed up stories. But if not, tell her family and your family the truth. Get a lawyer and file for divorce. Have all communication go through the lawyer and never talk to her again. When everything is done, move to be close to your family and friends and cut her and everything above that out of your life. And our guy here says, I wish this story was fake. For a couple days, she tried calling to play it off as a joke and of some kind, but she's given up trying to play it off. And as much as I'd love to just move home to get away from all this, her mother lives across the street from my parents. So instead, I'm looking at transferring to another region with my employer after everything is settled. I do have an appointment with a lawyer this Friday. I just want to put this all behind me now. Okay, he's making progress. He has an appointment with a lawyer. But remember, his house has all his stuff. Paperwork, information, tax returns. I hope he's canceled some credit cards if she happens to be on them, which he shouldn't be. I hope they don't have a joint bank account together. I hope he doesn't have all his passwords and stuff like that these people can fucking milk from him. He needs to get in that house. But holy shit. Another comment. This guy says, you didn't tell your family, ? You need support. You have nothing to be ashamed of. She does. Share this post with everyone, especially her mom. File for divorce. You're still very young. You can move on and find somebody who is not crazy. I don't think this guy's moving on from any chick after this. And he says, honestly, I feel like I've just been in shock for the whole situation. Like I have tunnel vision, I've been avoiding the confrontational reality. I just had to get it out and decide to post anonymously to get some perspective and see it all laid out in front of me. I do an appointment with the lawyer on Friday, blah, 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 and I'm going to continue no contact with her until I can get proper legal advice. His lawyer is going to be like, why the fuck didn't you verify that was her father beforehand? But putting that aside, it's over. And one more, this guy says, there's a lot to unpack and a lot that could be said, but to keep it short, the answer to your last paragraph, you don't have to tell anyone anything you don't want to. Either tell them you're not ready to talk about it, or it was just in time and you grew apart. Or very simply, she cheated on you. No one in your life is entitled to the private details of your life. You have to control the narrative. Well, I agree, it's his life, but he better control the narrative or she will. And yeah, it's humiliating and he can feel dumb for believing her, but a lot of guys are blindly trusting their wives, and you see what happens to them. And our guy responds, he says, I guess it just felt like a lot of people would whisper behind my back wondering what had happened. And those thoughts made me feel paralyzed. But you're right, it's no one's business unless I make it their business. Thank you. Now I got other comments here, but you guys get the point. But anyhow, guys, there you go. Daddy issues. While older guys can definitely, in our twist, fucked up ways, benefit from the young gals that have daddy issues and want to sleep with much older men, fine. But if you're young, and your girl, you find out that dad left her when she was young, and you got all the clues that she's got daddy issues, get out of there. That means she's going to behave like this chick, or the chick I once knew. But let me tell you, some will never trust a guy ever again. And they will find reasons to sabotage good relationships with good men because they're convinced that someday you're going to abandon them just like their daddy did. And they will completely, even think, literally, everything can be growing great for 2 years. And the second she has a panic attack that you're going to do something, she'll convince herself that you're the devil, that you're going to betray her, and create something in her psychotic mind to end it with you and screw the whole thing up. Meanwhile, then go hook up with guys twice her age and screwed up guys and stuff like that because she really wants to F her father. Don't get yourself in this situation, guys. So, there you go. Alright, guys, that's it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. And be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. I'll catch you next time.